Welcome back to Dr. Chris's Key to the Manager's Mindset video series. Today we are delving into the fascinating world of strategic thinking within crisis management. This is a critical skill set that can make or break an organization during times of upheaval. Strategic thinking in crisis management is more than just putting out fires. It's about developing a comprehensive plan that not only tackles the immediate problems at hand, but also sets the stage for sustainable growth and development in the aftermath of a crisis. It's about anticipating challenges, making tough decisions, and driving your organization forward even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Think of it as playing a high-stakes game of chess. Each crisis scenario is a different opponent with its own unique set of moves. You need to anticipate these moves, adapt your strategy accordingly, and always stay several steps ahead if you want to come out on top. That's the essence of strategic thinking. And why is this important? Well, let's consider a few common crisis scenarios. A sudden plunge in market value, a major product recall, a public relations disaster, a cyber attack, or even a global pandemic. In all these situations, a reactive approach simply isn't enough. You need to be proactive to navigate through the storm and emerge stronger on the other side. This involves forecasting potential outcomes, making contingency plans, allocating resources efficiently, and always keeping your long-term goals in sight. It requires a cool head, a clear vision, and the courage to make tough decisions even when you're under pressure. But most importantly, it requires a strategic mindset. This mindset is what enables you to see the bigger picture, to understand the interplay between different variables, and to make the right moves at the right time. It's what separates the leaders from the followers, the winners from the losers. So, how can you cultivate this strategic mindset and apply it to crisis management? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video series, so buckle up because it's going to be a fascinating journey. Let's now delve deeper into understanding the concept of strategic thinking within the context of crisis management. Strategic thinking and crisis management, two concepts that go hand in hand. But what does it mean to think strategically during a crisis? And how does this differ from a typical tactical response? Let's dive in. Strategic thinking in the context of crisis management is the ability to see the bigger picture, to understand the underlying issues that have led to the crisis, and to formulate a plan that not only addresses the immediate problem, but also helps prevent similar situations in the future. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. It's about making decisions that are grounded in a deep understanding of the organization's mission, values, and long-term goals. On the other hand, tactical responses are more about dealing with the immediate effects of a crisis. They are often necessary, of course, but without a strategic overlay, they can sometimes lead to even bigger problems down the line. For example, cutting costs might help to alleviate immediate financial pressures. But if done without considering the long-term implications, it could result in a loss of key talent or a decrease in product quality, which might then lead to a loss of customers and ultimately a deeper crisis. The key difference between strategic thinking and tactical responses then lies in the perspective. Strategic thinking requires a wider, more comprehensive view, while tactical responses often focus on the here and now. It's like looking at a chessboard. The tactical player focuses on the next move, while the strategic player is thinking several moves ahead, considering the opponent's potential responses and the overall state of the game. Now, this doesn't mean that strategic thinking is always better than tactical responses. There's a time and place for both. But in a crisis, when the stakes are high and the margin for error is small, strategic thinking can make all the difference. Let's consider an example. Imagine a company facing a major public relations crisis due to a product malfunction. A tactical response might be to issue a recall, provide refunds, and release a public apology. All of these actions are important and necessary, but a strategic thinker would go a step further, asking questions like, why did this malfunction occur in the first place? How can we prevent it from happening again? How can we regain the trust of our customers? What can we learn from this crisis to improve our operations and our reputation in the future? By considering these questions, the strategic thinker not only solves the immediate problem, but also strengthens the organization in the long run. They turn the crisis into an opportunity for improvement and growth. This kind of foresight and perspective is crucial in managing crises. It helps leaders to navigate the turbulent waters of uncertainty, to make decisions that align with their organization's long-term goals, and to turn challenges into opportunities. It's not about predicting the future, it's about preparing for it. So, how can one develop this kind of strategic thinking? Well, it starts with a mindset shift. It requires curiosity, openness to new ideas, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. It requires a deep understanding of your organization's mission, values, and goals, and the ability to align your decisions with these guiding principles. It requires the ability to see the bigger picture, to connect the dots, and to think several steps ahead. And remember, strategic thinking is not just for top executives. It's a skill that can and should be developed at all levels of an organization. Because in a crisis, everyone's actions matter. And when everyone is thinking strategically, the organization as a whole becomes more resilient, more adaptable, and better prepared to face whatever challenges come its way. As we can see, strategic thinking is a critical skill for any leader in times of crisis. Effective leaders shine the brightest during crises. This is not just an adage, it's a truth that has been proven time and again. When the storm hits, the true character of a leader is revealed. So let's delve into the essential qualities that leaders who excel in crisis management possess. Firstly, effective strategic leaders are decisive. In the face of ambiguity and uncertainty, they make tough calls quickly, relying on both data and intuition. They understand that indecision can be as damaging as a wrong decision. Consider the example of Arne Sorensen, the late CEO of Marriott International. During the global pandemic, he made the difficult decision to furlough thousands of employees. It was a hard choice, yet it ensured the company's survival and ultimately the jobs of those furloughed. Secondly, strategic leaders are adaptable. They're not afraid to pivot, to change course when circumstances demand. They understand that clinging to an outdated plan can be disastrous. Take Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. In the face of the 2008 financial crisis, he returned from retirement, closed hundreds of stores, and refocused on customer experience. His adaptability not only saved Starbucks, but also positioned it for impressive growth. Thirdly, these leaders are transparent and communicative. They keep their teams informed, sharing both the good and the bad. They know that rumors and misinformation can breed fear and mistrust. Just look at Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors. When the company faced a recall crisis in 2014, she consistently updated employees, customers, and the public, admitting mistakes and outlining corrective actions. Her transparency helped restore trust in GM. Moreover, strategic leaders in crises are resilient. They don't let setbacks deter them. Instead, they learn from their failures and come back stronger. Think of Steve Jobs and his return to Apple in the late 90s. After being ousted from the company he founded, he returned during a period of crisis and led it to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. Lastly, effective strategic leaders maintain a long-term perspective. They balance immediate crisis response with an eye towards future opportunities. They understand that every crisis, no matter how dire, will pass, and when it does, they want to be ready to seize the new opportunities that emerge. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, is a prime example of this. Amid the 2008 financial crisis, he invested heavily in electric vehicles and space travel, two industries that seemed risky at the time, but have since proven to be lucrative. These leaders exemplify the power of strategic thinking in crisis management. They show us that crises, though challenging, can be springboards for innovation and growth. In the end, it's not the crisis itself, but how leaders respond to it that determines the outcome. And the best responses are not just reactions, they're strategic actions that balance immediate needs with long-term goals. So let's learn from these leaders and strive to embody their qualities in our leadership. Equipping oneself with the right tools and techniques can make all the difference during a crisis. So what are some practical tools and techniques that can enhance your strategic thinking during a crisis? Let's dive right in. First off, let's talk about the SWAT analysis, a tried and true tool for strategic planning. SWAT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, during a crisis, this tool can be invaluable. Here's how you can use it. Identify your strengths. What advantages does your organization have that others don't? These could be your resources, your team, or your brand reputation. Anything that sets you apart is a strength. Next, acknowledge your weaknesses. Every organization has them. It could be a lack of financial resources, a small team, or a weak supply chain. It's crucial to recognize these weaknesses before a crisis hits, so you can plan around them. Then look for opportunities. These are external factors that you can capitalize on. Maybe there's a new market you can tap into, or perhaps a competitor is struggling and you can step in to fill the void. In a crisis, opportunities may not be immediately apparent, but with strategic thinking, you can find them. Lastly, be aware of threats. These are external factors that could harm your organization. It could be a new competitor, changing market trends, or even a global pandemic. By identifying these threats, you can prepare for them and mitigate their impact. So that's SWOT analysis. By continually assessing these 4 areas, you can make informed decisions during a crisis. Now let's move on to scenario planning. This is another essential tool for strategic thinking in crisis situations. Scenario planning involves imagining a series of what-if situations and planning your responses accordingly. It's about preparing for the future by considering a range of possible outcomes. For example, what if our main supplier goes out of business? Or what if a natural disaster disrupts our operations? By considering these scenarios in advance, you can create a range of strategies to address them. This way, when a crisis does hit, you're not caught off guard. You've already thought through the possibilities and have a plan in place. This reduces panic and allows for clear strategic thinking. In addition to SWOT analysis and scenario planning, there are other techniques that can enhance strategic thinking. These include using decision trees to map out the potential outcomes of different strategies, or conducting a PESTEL analysis to examine the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors that could affect your organization during a crisis. Remember, strategic thinking isn't about predicting the future, it's about preparing for it. It's about understanding your environment, identifying potential challenges and opportunities, and making decisions based on that understanding. These tools and techniques aren't just for CEOs or top-level managers. They can be used by anyone in an organization, at any level. Because when a crisis hits, everyone needs to think strategically. Everyone needs to be part of the solution. And here's the thing, these tools aren't just for crisis situations. They're useful for everyday decision-making too. By regularly using these tools, you can develop your strategic thinking skills and be better prepared when a crisis does hit. So to wrap it up, strategic thinking in crisis situations is all about understanding your environment, identifying potential challenges and opportunities, and making informed decisions. Tools like SWOT analysis and scenario planning can help with this, but they're just the start. The key is to make strategic thinking a habit, a part of your everyday decision-making process. With these tools and techniques, you are better prepared to navigate through crises. Learning from real-life scenarios often provides the best insights. Picture this. A global manufacturing company, let's call it X Corp, faces a sudden, unprecedented supply chain disruption due to a series of natural disasters in regions vital to its operations. The company's leadership, instead of panicking or reacting impulsively, employs strategic thinking to navigate the crisis. The first step they took was to convene a crisis management team composed of key decision-makers from across the organization. This team, led by a seasoned leader, was charged with developing a strategic response to the crisis. They began by conducting a thorough analysis of the situation, identifying the key challenges, potential opportunities, and the resources available at their disposal. They recognized that simply reacting to the immediate problems would only provide a short-term solution and could potentially lead to more significant issues down the line. So they decided to use this crisis as a catalyst to overhaul their supply chain model. They identified alternative suppliers, diversified their supply base, and invested in technologies to increase supply chain visibility and resilience. They also communicated transparently with their stakeholders, employees, customers, and investors, about the crisis and the steps they were taking to address it. This move fostered trust and ensured everyone was aligned and working towards a common goal. Now let's break down what worked and what didn't. The decision to form a dedicated crisis management team was a masterstroke. It allowed the company to respond quickly and effectively to the crisis and ensured that their response was aligned with their overall strategic objectives. Their decision to overhaul the supply chain, rather than just patching up the immediate problems, proved to be game changer. It not only resolved the current crisis, but also made the company more resilient to future disruptions. The transparent communication strategy also paid off. It built trust amongst the stakeholders and helped to maintain morale during a challenging period. However, not everything went according to plan. The transition to the new supply chain model was more challenging than anticipated. It took longer and cost more than initially projected. However, the company's leadership remained committed to the strategic approach, recognizing that these initial hurdles were outweighed by the long-term benefits. So why did strategic thinking make a difference? Because it allowed X Corp to see beyond the immediate crisis and focus on the bigger picture. It enabled them to turn a crisis into an opportunity for improvement, making the company stronger and more resilient in the process. This case study underscores the power of strategic thinking in crisis management. It demonstrates that a crisis, while challenging, can also present opportunities for strategic growth and improvement. It shows that by thinking strategically, organizations can not only survive crises, but also emerge from them stronger and better prepared for the future. Learning from real-life scenarios often provides the best insights. It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a mantra that can guide us in our quest to become better leaders, better decision makers, and better crisis managers. So, let's keep learning, keep growing, and keep thinking strategically, no matter what challenges we face. This case study underscores the power of strategic thinking in crisis management. Keeping an eye on the long term, even in the face of immediate crises, is a mark of great leadership. Leaders are often tested by their ability to navigate the ship through stormy waters while keeping their gaze fixed on the distant horizon. This is no small feat, and it involves a delicate balance of addressing urgent needs and still maintaining a focus on long-term goals. So how can leaders achieve this balance? The key is to integrate short-term actions with long-term objectives. This means that every decision made in response to a crisis should ideally serve a dual purpose: to alleviate the immediate issue and to contribute towards the achievement of long-term goals. But let's not forget, crises are stressful and can be emotionally draining. It's easy for teams to lose sight of the bigger picture when they're in the thick of it. This is where resilience comes into play. Fostering resilience in teams is crucial. Encourage your team to view crises as temporary hurdles that can be overcome, rather than insurmountable obstacles. Remind them of the organization's long-term goals and how their current work contributes to these objectives. Forward thinking is another valuable trait that leaders can instill in their teams. Encourage them to anticipate potential outcomes and to consider the broader implications of their actions. This not only helps in devising more effective strategies, but also keeps the team aligned with the long-term vision. Now let's talk about morale. It's no secret that morale can take a hit during crises. This can be particularly challenging during prolonged crises, where fatigue and disillusionment can set in. To maintain morale, leaders should make a conscious effort to celebrate small victories along the way. This can serve as a morale booster and a reminder that progress is being made despite the challenges. Communication is another critical aspect of maintaining vision and morale. Clear, consistent, and transparent communication can help to dispel rumors, reduce anxiety, and keep everyone on the same page. Make sure to communicate the long-term vision frequently and tie it to the current work being done. This will help your team understand how their efforts during the crisis are contributing to the larger goals. In essence, maintaining a long-term vision amidst adverse conditions requires strategic thinking, resilience, forward thinking, and effective communication. It's about making decisions that alleviate the immediate crisis without losing sight of the long-term goals. It's about keeping the team motivated, resilient, and aligned with the organization's vision. Remember, even in times of crisis, the long-term vision should never be compromised. Developing strategic thinking skills is a continual process. Like a muscle, it requires consistent exercise and challenge to grow stronger. But what does that look like in practice? Let's delve into some daily habits and practices that can help you cultivate these essential skills. First, make a habit of seeking diverse perspectives. Strategic thinking thrives on a variety of viewpoints. Whether it's a book from an author with a different background, a podcast on an unfamiliar subject, or a conversation with a colleague from another department, every new perspective can broaden your understanding and sharpen your strategic skills. Next, practice reframing problems. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, view them as opportunities for growth and learning. Reframing a problem can help you see it from a fresh angle, sparking innovative solutions that might not have been apparent initially. Third, engage in regular reflection. Take time each day to reflect on your experiences and the decisions you've made. What went well? What could you have done differently? This self-awareness can help you identify patterns, learn from your mistakes, and make more strategic choices in the future. Now let's talk about how to train your teams in strategic thinking. After all, a crisis can hit at any time, and it's essential that everyone is prepared to think strategically. Start by fostering a culture of open communication. Encourage your team members to share their ideas, concerns, and insights. This not only promotes strategic thinking, but also builds trust and cooperation within the team. Next, provide opportunities for cross-functional collaboration. Working on projects with members from different departments can help your team broaden their perspectives and understand the organization from a wider lens. This broader view is crucial for strategic thinking. Lastly, offer regular training and development opportunities. This could be in the form of workshops, seminars, or even online courses. The key is to keep the learning ongoing, so your team's strategic thinking skills continue to evolve and adapt to changing circumstances. Speaking of learning, there are plenty of resources and courses out there that can help you improve your strategic thinking capabilities. For instance, the Strategic Thinking for Leaders course offered by Harvard Business School provides a deep dive into the subject. Similarly, the Strategic Thinking and Decision-Making course from the University of Oxford SED Business School offers valuable insights into strategic thinking in a variety of contexts. Books can also be a great resource. Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt provides a clear framework for developing effective strategies. Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley and Roger Martin offers insights from the business world on how to create a winning strategy. Remember, strategic thinking is not a skill you acquire overnight. It's a journey of constant learning, adaptation, and growth, so be patient with yourself and others as you navigate this journey. With these tips, you are on your way to becoming a better strategic thinker. Today, we have journeyed through the landscape of strategic thinking and crisis management. We've peeled back the layers of this complex and critical topic, shining a light on its many facets. Together, we've explored the definition of strategic thinking in the context of crisis management, distinguishing it from tactical responses. We've understood the significance of maintaining a broad perspective and the foresight it brings in navigating through crises. We've delved into the traits that characterize effective strategic leaders during crises, even bringing to life their stories through real-world examples. We've seen how these leaders masterfully balance the pressing demands of the moment with the long-term goals of their organizations. We've equipped ourselves with practical tools and techniques to foster strategic thinking, such as the SWAT analysis and scenario planning, and seen how they can be effectively employed during crises. We've also dissected a real-life case study, analyzing the steps taken by an organization that successfully navigated a crisis through strategic thinking. We've also acknowledged the challenges of maintaining a long-term vision amidst the storm of a crisis, and shared strategies to foster resilience and forward thinking in our teams. We've offered tips to keep morale high and the vision intact during prolonged crises. And finally, we've looked at daily practices and habits that can help cultivate strategic thinking skills and discussed how to train our teams in strategic thinking to better prepare for crisis situations. The importance of integrating strategic thinking into all levels of crisis management cannot be overstated. It's not just about surviving the crisis, but about emerging stronger and more resilient on the other side. It's about turning threats into opportunities and adversity into advantage. It's about ensuring that our organizations not only withstand the storm, but are prepared to seize the rainbow that follows. I hope this discussion has been enlightening, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to consider the immense value we can extract from strategic thinking in crisis management. If you found this discussion enlightening and wish to further expand your knowledge on such topics, don't hesitate to subscribe and follow this channel. There's a vast ocean of insights waiting for you here. And each video we share is a drop in that ocean, designed to help you navigate the complex waters of personal development and productivity improvement. If you know someone who could benefit from these insights, why not share this content with them? It's through sharing knowledge that we can collectively grow, becoming better leaders and more strategic thinkers. Thank you for your time today, and remember, strategic thinking is your key to effective crisis management. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep strategizing. Your future self will thank you for it.